Hey, and welcome back to the European Schoolnet Academy Games in Schools course. This is Module 1, and in Module 1 we're talking about why use computer games in the classroom. And in this video, as part of Module 1, we're really going to be thinking a little bit about some different background and resources to get you started and thinking about computer games in the classroom. These resources will include websites, case studies, and also some of the latest research material. As I prepare for the games-based learning course, I always like to put the term games-based learning straight into Google. You can do this yourself to see what comes up, and as you will see, there's lots and lots of disagreement about what we actually mean by games-based learning. Some of it is definitely games-based, but not all of it is learning-based. One thing that I noticed this time though is that when you put the term games-based learning into Google Trends, the term has actually decreased in use over time. This might lead you to think that maybe games in schools aren't as popular as they used to be. In fact, when I put the term playful learning into Google Trends, I also noticed that that term had also decreased in time, and it follows the same sort of pattern as the games-based learning. It was quite popular in 2004, but it seems least popular in 2019. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that actually other terms, which also include playful learning and games-based learning in the classroom, have become increasingly popular during this time. The most popular term that I could find is the term gamification. And if you look at this slide really carefully, you can see playful learning and games-based learning right at the bottom of the graph in blue and red, but the term gamification has really exploded since 2010, and you can see now how popular it is in terms of global searches worldwide. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that you can find out a huge amount yourself about games-based learning and types of games-based learning just by going to a popular search engine, or indeed putting the terms into social media sites like Facebook or Twitter. But what I wanted to do as part of this module is to signpost you towards some useful resources to save you the bother of finding them yourselves. The first resource that I wanted to point you towards is the Digital Games in Schools Handbook, which was produced by the European Schoolnet Academy a number of years ago now. We're actually in the process of updating this, but for now, the older version will give you an insight in terms of what is possible in the classroom. And you might also be pleased to know it's been translated into lots of languages as well. There's lots of other reports that are out there, but if I was going to recommend one, this report, supported by again the European Union on digital games in schools, is one that I would really encourage you to have a look at. There's also my own book, which is called Playful Learning Computer Games in the Classroom, which I produced for Microsoft UK a few years ago now. And in fact, a lot of the ideas from this course actually come from this original book that I wrote. There's lots of other places and websites, of course, that you can go to find information. I'd encourage you to check out two different examples here. One is about how we might use games for social good. It's a website called Games for Change, which encourages young people to develop games to tackle social problems. And the other one is a school, which really uses games and gamified approaches in all aspects of learning, teaching and assessment. The school's called Quest to Learn in New York City. And again, the link to the website of this school and a link to all of the other reports that I've already mentioned will be available in the online forum. In terms of books, there are a number of books that I would recommend. The first, and possibly the most important, is the book called by Professor James Paul Gee about what video games have to teach us about learning and literacy. It might appear a little bit dated now, but all of the ideas in here have been really instrumental, and they continue to be instrumental in my own practice. Another book which has been very, very popular over the years is Mark Prensky's book, Don't Bother Me Mum, I'm Learning. In this book, Mark first suggests the idea of digital natives and digital immigrants. Again, although that term might be a little bit dated now, a lot of the ideas within this book are still really, really relevant. Slightly more up to date, and this is a little bit more about how we can use games for social good, why games make us better and how they can change the world, is the book called Reality is Broken by Professor Jane McGonigal. Again, a really, really interesting read, which doesn't just talk about schools, but it also talks about other public places as well, such as museums, public life, and also libraries. If you're looking for something a little bit more academically robust, you might be interested in these two journals. The first is the International Journal of Games-Based Learning, and the second is the International Journal of Serious Games. In the International Journal of Serious Games, we talk a lot about simulations, and we'll talk about simulations even more later on in this course. I also wanted to point out the LEGO Foundation knowledge base, and although there's nothing specifically in here about computer games in the classroom, one of the things that they do really, really well is they talk about what do we mean by learning through play. And of course, if we can understand what we mean by learning through play, that will help us in our own mind perhaps select better games to be using with our students in formal learning environments. So there are a number of different examples on here, but the ones that I think you will like are what do we mean by learning through play in schools where we're thinking more about active pedagogies, and also play facilitation, the science behind the art of engaging young children in playful learning. So what do I want you to do now? It's really important that you dip into some of these resources to start to expand your own levels of knowledge and understanding. And if I was going to recommend two from the ones that I've quickly gone through, it would be the LEGO Foundation's publication, What Do We Mean by Learning Through Play, so that you can get yourself into the mindset of actually how play can develop holistic skills. And also a dip into the European Schoolnet Academy Digital Games in Schools Guide. And again, you can see lots of different examples about how digital games have been used in classrooms all around Europe. So look forward to the discussion online, and don't forget to use the hashtag GamesCourse if you're talking about any of these things on social media, or indeed if you want to recommend your own resource for other European Schoolnet Academy Games in Schools course participants. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.